So chapter one is in regards to our introduction to sociology. It kind of gives us a little bit of a broad understanding in regards to the history, the theoretical perspectives, and why study sociology. So to begin off, and it also understands why or what type of approaches is often used to understand what defines as deviant within a society, and that's pretty much just the constructionism um, when we're looking at all of it. It's just kind of a full understanding in regards to why people behave and interact within a society in the way that they do. So, to start off, we're looking at what is sociology. Sociologists use how society affects people and how people affect society. So, all in all, when we're looking at the sociology is basically defined as a systematic study of how society and social interactions kind of occur. So as you can see here, why do certain people, when they're within a public area, why do they do what they do? When we follow the aspects of from learning from the aspects of who and why and the mots of things, when we're looking at um, the men and women who kind of created the sociology, we kind of have the the history of them. So it started off with Augustine Comment. He is one that coined the term positivism. It's widely considered, and he's also widely considered as the father of sociology. So that's Augustine Comment. Um, he has kind of a really wide range in regards to his um, he had a philosophy in regards to the series of books that were called the Course of Positivism of Philosophy. He, was around from he was around from 1798 to about 1857. He wasn't like the founder of sociology. He just coined the term of positivism aspects. When we're talking about um, another one of our historical factors is C. Wright Mills. He is the one that kind of came up with the sociological imagination. And this is because he wanted to see how individuals understand their own and others' past in relations to history and social culture or social structures. So he wanted to know from his aspects what sociological imagination meant, and that was how individuals understand their own and others' past in relations to history and social structures. And what he meant by this was he wanted a clearer picture in regards to why kind of how history has changed throughout its progress, but at the same time, like how does this bigger picture kind of affect everybody? When we're looking at sociologists to learn about society as a whole while studying one-to-one groups and group interactions, there's two ways how this is happening, and these are through the macro and micro levels. It's basically the understanding, and when it comes to the one-to-one, these are the smallest and individual interactions. That's the micro. For the macro, it looks at the among the larger groups of society to kind of get at aspects. So with the picture that you're seeing here, this would be more of a macro. So it'd be a larger group in regards to why people do the things they do. Um, to get a bigger understanding in regards to it. When we're looking at type of modern families versus all the historical families aspects, um, when we're looking at the modern U.S. families may be very different in structures from what historical typically. And this is kind of how we look at this from a sociological view. We look at that history in regards to what differences have changed through family life, what differences have occurred, what's changed within the history of time. How do we get this snapshot in regards from the way how we used to live to the way how we're living now, the reasons, the whys. You kind of have to look at sociology of asking all the WH questions of like the why, the what, the where's type aspects. Like when did this happen? Where did it happen? Why is it happening? It gives you more of a true understanding in regards to doing research and understanding and following research within sociology. Um, so people have been thinking like sociologists long before sociology became a separate academic discipline. It used to be part of um, political science. It's like political science, psychology, and sociology used to be taught underneath one curriculum, academic discipline, more or less, and it kind of been spread separate off into their own separates because when you look at it, they all have their own uniqueness. They all have their own separations. So they're not the same. They are different. But if you look at the history of time, you can see how all three of those academic disciplines could kind of go together because they have very similar aspects. So, as I mentioned, Augustine Common is considered by many to be the father of sociology. But when you look at the bigger picture, like I said, he's the one that coined the term of positivism. He's the one that kind of came up with that term, and when you're looking at what does that positivism means, it's just, the social patterns. That's all it is. It's understanding the social patterns and why certain things happen underneath a society or social aspects. Karl Marx was one of the founders of sociology. His ideals about social conflict are still relative today. He is the founder by this, by all means, when we're looking at that bigger picture. Um, the other one that is still kind of relevant in today's terms are Emily Durkheim and Marx Weber and George Herbert Meads. These are all, relevant in today's terms when it comes to their terminology, their understanding of sociology. A lot of their research is still being presented in a lot of the aspects in regards to what's being, the old saying, history repeats itself. So a lot of their stuff still kind of develops within the aspects of. Sociologists develop theories to explain the social occurrence, such as protest rallies. We kind of look at the way how we look at the bigger picture of things when we're looking at the theoretical approaches and when we're looking at the aspects. We come with what we call as a hypothesis. It basically define a testable proposition. When we're looking at the theories, we want to be able to make sure that we have some type of a testable um, proposition to where we can actually pull the research and pull what we need to pull. It's very common in regards to making sure you got to have an ideal, you got to have a topic that you want to do, and then you want to build from there. When you're looking at the philosophy and the aspects of things, you want to make sure that you're getting a full understanding. So when that hypothesis is really key when you're going to get all that information that you're looking for. When you're looking at the process of stimulation analysis, the behavior of individuals and the society that shapes our behavior, or the concept that is individual and society is inseparable. This is a figurative type aspects, right? Some sociologists see the online world contributing to um, the the creation of an emerging global culture. You are part of this, any global communication, any type of social media, anything in that aspects. You are dealing with the bigger picture of the aspects of understanding. So you're looking at, the theory, you're looking at the hypothesis, you're looking at social solitary, you're looking at, some of the grand theories and that type of aspects. Are we looking at it from a functionalist aspects? Are we looking at it from a symbolic interaction aspects? Are we looking at it from a conflict theory aspects? This is kind of like the basics of understanding of all of this. So we do have the paragons as on top of that. That kind of is the philosophical or the philosophical and theoretical frameworks used as within a discipline to formulate theories, generalizations, and the experiments, profound in support of them. In order to get all of this, it's all of a step process. We have to make sure that we build off of a topic, but we also have to make sure that it has some type of a physiological, the physical or the philosophical, excuse me, and the theoretical frameworks to make sure that we get all of our research within the proper, necessary steps. So when we're looking at it from, this emerging global culture, which is the online world, how would you analyze that? How would you approach that? What type of frameworks will you look into? Is it more of a structural? Is it more of a conflict? Is it more of a symbolic? What way does it work best to try to define in all languages and all aspects? When you're looking at the research of sociologists, Kenneth and Mimi Clark helped the Supreme Court decide the separation but equal. These are more of the racial segregations in schools and in the US. There's been a lot of aspects in regards to the separation, the segregation, the criticisms, the racial, the prejudice. All of this kind of goes into further into sociology. There's a lot that kind of goes into sociology in this aspects. If you want to further in regards to sociology, you'll see more in regards to social problems. You'll see more into race and racism. You'll see more into family and marriages. There's more that kind of goes in depth and detail when you're looking at this figurative of this term. The Supreme Court decided to end this separate but equal. This was all around the Civil War time that this all kind of came into about. Um, but you had Karl Marx. I'm gonna go back a slide or two. You have Karl Marx who kind of grew this resulting he believed that societies grew and changed as a result of the struggle of different social classes. So Karl Marx used social class as a huge factor in regards to this. So it kind of coincides to what we were just talking about in regards to separate but equal. Karl Marx, like I said, he had this. Um, he believed that the societies grew and changed as a result of the struggles of different social classes over the means of production. And the means of production were basically the ones who own the lands, who own productions, who had, the means to purchase whatever they wanted to purchase. So when you're looking at that bigger picture, when it favored more of the communist type of communism, I'll spit that out, in regards to that. So there was similarities between each social class. So you have upper class, upper middle, you have middle lower, and you have low, and then you have the under. So you have a big, huge social class. On the top of even top of the upper class, you have capitalism, which is like the highest of high. So it's one of those situations too where you can kind of see the aspects of how social class can change the societies. And you can kind of see it in today's terms as well. I mean, we still struggle, our society still struggles within those differences of social class over the means of production. So we still have those issues today. Just the means of production now are a little bit different than what they were back in the 1800s and 1900s. Um, when you're looking at the theorists that kind of claim that people rise to the popular level in societies based solely on the belief of mediocrity. This was Durkheim. Durkheim did a lot of research in regards to different types of races. He looked more into the African American and whites kind of differences in race. So that's the reason why he kind of had this, theorists of a claim that he believed in that mediocrity aspects. He did, like I said, he did a lot of research. He also did research in regards to suicide rates and that type of aspects as well to see where they all fell. When we're looking, I'm going to go back a little bit more because the slides aren't giving you all the information. They're just kind of giving you some of the information, as in for what's on the lectures and stuff like that, or going in depth and detailed in regards to the chapter. When we're looking at like the macro and micro level, Going back to that, like I said, understand which one's big and which one's small. Examining, certain aspects. If you're looking at it from, like I said, the micro level, you're looking at it from a small aspects. So if you're examining, um, like a video game in regards to romantic relationships of middle-aged men, you're looking at it from a very small aspect. You're looking at it from a micro. That is a micro. That is also the um, can't think of my terms I'm looking for. It's a small group and it's individual interactions. There's the word I'm looking for. That is the micro side. When you're looking at the macro side, you're looking at, like I said, the larger frame of things. You're looking at, social media on a worldwide political awareness. You're looking at revolution. You're looking at why the effects of things are going on. You could kind of look at today's society, like why are things happening the way they are. That is your bigger. That is your micro level. When you're looking at, you saw the term structural functionalist. When you're looking at functionalism, it's a theory. It's way how society and the structures with interrelated parts designed to meet the biological and social needs of individuals within a society. So when you're looking at this, it's the way how individuals who make up the society, how they interrelate their parts and designed to meet the biological and social needs, for your individual purposes. So, sociological functionalists view society as a structure with interrelated parts designed to meet the biological and social needs of individuals who make up the society. That's just one of the theories, functionalism. When you're looking at that bigger picture, there's also a conflict theory. There's some criticism that goes with both. When you're looking at conflict theory was advocated by Mark Weber, Karl Marx, George Simmel. These are all the theories, but when you're looking at conflict theory, it looks at the society as a competition or limited resources. So they kind of want to look at it from the opposite way. The old saying is, you have a good side, bad side. Why do things happen the way they do? There's that in between aspects. So when you're looking at the conflict theory, know that Marx Weber, George Simmel, and Karl Marx were all advocates for it. They believe that this is the reason why that, we have the society that we do is because of some of the conflict theories that it does occur. In quantitative sociology, it's basically the in-depth interviews, focus groups, and or analysis of content sources as the source of its data. And what do I mean by that? This is more or less in regards to how do we come up with the data that we come up with. There's stages, there's certain aspects, and we get more on this in chapter 2 in regards to our, how do we collect our data? What sources do we use? Do we use questionnaires? Do we use surveys? Do we use in-person observable? How and what do we do in those aspects? When we're looking at the qualitative of sociology, like I said, this is just the aspects of in-depth interviews, focus groups, and or analysis of content sources as the source of its data. Another theory that we also have, like I said, we have functional, we have conflict, and we also have symbolic. When we're looking at symbolic interactionism, these are the micro, the small side, right? Theories that focuses on relationships among individuals within a society, communication. So it exchanges of meaning through language and symbols. There's two type of symbolic. There's material and there's non-material. Material is more material culture. These are more symbolic. These are objects. These are symbols in regards to like arts, that type of aspects. When you're looking at non-material, that goes more towards the language of the symbolic side of things. So there is a difference in between when we're looking at more of the symbolic interaction. It breaks it down into a little bit more. You have, like I said, material culture, and then you have non-material culture. And the material culture Like I mentioned, those are more or less of the objects, the symbols in regards to belongs to your culture. So those are symbolic interactions by objects. Symbolic interactionism by language is non-material. So kind of know the difference in between the two. So if you get like an example in regards to um, one composer of a high income um, protester on one, on one composed of a lower protester, you need to be able to understand the symbols in regards to what layers or what relationships or what of the national day to day exchanges between the two groups might occur. What type of symbols. If you have a high end person or higher income protester versus a lower income protester, there's different type of symbols that are going to be presented. So just kind of give you a difference in between the two. When we're talking about um, anti-positism, this was a proposal by Weber's. It was influenced by sociological research to gain subjective understanding of human control of norms while examining different social worlds, not words, worlds. So anti-positivism is a huge thing because we want to make sure that the way how we examine different social worlds, that we're examining them through the influence of anti-positivism versus the negative positivism. So Weber's the one that kind of came up with that aspects. And then when we're looking at to go a little bit more in depth of Durkheim as well, Durkheim also believed he looked at religious beliefs, he looks at the laws, he looks at the customs. These were all part of social factors as well, let alone the relationship between other individuals. So when you're looking at that bigger picture, Durkheim also has this social factor. Understand what all of those social factors are through Durkheim. Like I said, he had the religious beliefs. He believed that laws, he believed customs, he believes the interaction of individuals were also part of that, but know what those social factors are. And then when you're looking at, um, there's a German word that we need to know, which is basically the understanding in a deep way. That it's called Verstehen. It's Verstehen. And this is just basically taking all of the concepts and understanding each one of them in a deep and in more of an intense way. It's to get that full understanding of social systems, the large bureaucratic systems, ability to diverse and carry out the certain aspects, understanding the difference in between the authorities, the ability to collect and read and analyze statistical information from the polls and surveys. This is what you're going to be doing for your peer reviewed or your peer article reviews. You will be looking at those peer article reviews and you'll be breaking them down and understanding how the data was collected, analyzing the data, knowing how to do it, and then you're going to report it back to me in regards to fully understanding in regards to how it was done. How did they collect what they got? What were the end results? So this is part of that understanding in a deep way. um, the skills of preparing reports and communications. We won't go that far in depth into this, in regards to that type of communications and writing reports, but the reports that you'll be rewriting are being more of understanding of how to read that secondary analysis when you start getting into that chapter, which is like I said in chapter two. Um, what type of capacities of critical thinking and social issues and other problems can you get out of the articles, and where else can you possibly go to kind of see what other issues that could possibly going on. If you guys have any questions in regards to this chapter, feel free to email me. um, Kind of a key and a point, I would suggest you guys using the study guide as you're listening to the lectures, to answer those study guides questions. As I lecture, I do answer those questions throughout. So once again, you have the study guide open as you guys are listening to the lecture. It'll cover for the first for each chapter, and it'll also cover for the whole exam. So Once again, if you guys have any questions, feel free to email me. There is a cell phone number on the syllabus. You're more than welcome to reach out to text to that or call that number as well. Have a good day.